So, good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I know, it's a little bit dreary out there this afternoon, but here we are. Very happy to have with us the members of the Parker Quartet playing a concert tomorrow evening, I believe, at the Kimmel Center. And you guys have the information. We have two quartets to play for you today. Just a little bit about our program. Our program was named about 40 years ago as the Center for Gifted Young Musicians. I didn't name it, but these guys are hardworking people. Yeah, very hardworking young musicians who are really focused on string, chamber music, and chamber orchestra. We have 3 chamber orchestras that then kind of split out into about 20 or 21 chamber ensembles throughout the course of the day. And we have, it's like all French and all impressionistic today. This is our quartet performing Ravel. They are coached by Rachel Freivogel, and they are Audrey Kim violin, Kirsten Jonathan violin, Jare Shi viola, and Matthew Chung cello. And they have the first movement of the Ravel Quartet. Once again, thank you so much for giving us your time here today, and for the Philadelphia Chamber Music Society for making these kind of events possible for us, and to have our young people connect with the people who are doing it professionally. Thank you.
two things that in our time together that I want to work with you guys on. I guess you guys are playing really, really well together. Sometimes I feel like we can play even more sort of where sometimes I don't get the sense that we're feeling the pulse in the same way. And you guys are really good enough listeners where you're able to adjust in a moment. And someone takes a slightly different tempo, you're able to adjust right away. But I'm wondering if we can tap into a collective collective sense of pulse where it's really, everybody feels very empowered, right? To have a sense of movement and a flow or whatever they want, right? And everybody else, we're all listening for the same thing and sort of shaping the music and the sense of the evolution of the pulse in the same way, yeah? So I thought we could have both places where we could work on that. Second thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was sort of defining our characters, right? I feel like oftentimes you guys play with a very beautiful, intimate sound, and then, when music asks for it to be larger or louder or whatever, you do that very well, very well. What I'm missing is a little bit of the shades of color, right? That he's asking for, perhaps in like piano versus pianissimo, right? For example, if he starts with piano, right? When the recapitulation came, it's a pianissimo, right? Yeah, it sounds like you guys talked about that before, right? And in the beginning, first 4 measures, piano, then it's pianissimo measure 5, right? In the recapitulation, he reiterates pianissimo, and then pianissimo again, 5 measures later, right? So clearly he wants something different there, right? So, those were just a couple examples where I felt like we could sort of define what it is we want to communicate, what we think the intention of the composer was for that pianissimo, and all those kind of things, yeah? Okay, so the first part that I thought we could work on, maybe it was just because, we were starting there, but I thought we could work on the first 4 measures, right, for the sense of motion. Do you guys want to try one more time? Sorry. Yeah, it's already better. What are we all listening to for the flow? Theology? Yeah? Okay. I think it's very easy to sort of listen out for the melody and the sense of the melody, and the top line is usually the melody, right? And so I think it's absolutely great. I get the sense that everybody is listening very well, but in a way, in a very reactive way. And I'm wondering if we can tap into either the cello or the second violin, who have this rising line, and they're going to be sensitive to sort of the nature of your line, but also if you guys can feel empowered to really listen to the melody, but also tug the melody along with the sense of rising. Yeah.
I have a question for you guys, and this is kind of general question, not specific to this piece, but what are you guys thinking before you start any piece?
Pulse.
Pulse.
So like
How can we go further with that?
the
Yes.
sound, like the first note sound from the general energy when you start.
Definitely. How can we go further with that? How about simply visualizing and hearing the music, right? In the most ideal sense. I get the feeling that when you start, it's a little bit like you're hitting the start button, right? And I would love for you in your head to have that going already in your bodies and in your minds and in the energy, yeah.
Maybe one thing related to what I was saying, and then to tie in what Dan was saying too, is if we can think about the sense of motion before we start, right? So it's not we start from here, but the music sort of starts in the silence, and then it sort of we give voice or sound to what's already in the pieces. Beautiful. One last time. I think I always found that you could tap into just sort of the rising quality of those chord measures. And Audrey, I feel like maybe with your sense of the line and how there's a little bit more contour, right? You go up and down, right? If you can sort of tap into sort of this sort of motion, right? So if I'm being very, very specific, I thought maybe you speak the second measure and the fourth measure in a way that sort of pulls back the rising sense of the line. Right? Can you try that one more time? Tell me about the sense of sound you want to create, the sense of the pulse, what you want to evoke.
Kind of misty.
Misty?
Yeah. I kind of relaxed.
Relaxing, carefree. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jerry, let me ask you.
I think more anxious, like
Windy?
less misty.
Less misty.
Sounds like a quartet conversation.
That's okay. Do you guys want to add anything to that? Or whatever imagery you have in mind?
I always just thought it was like rivers flowing along.
Uh-huh.
I would just think it as a
Moving? Okay. Okay, so we've got a variety of answers. I think based on the right, there's something very kind of volatile, right? Quantity volatile, and I think besides Matthew, everybody mentioned like sense of motion or movement. Yeah. I thought maybe we can tap into that. Yeah. Maybe there's something, I don't know, calm, I think that's the word you used, in the sense of the mood where, I don't know, there's something about to form, right? It's not completely extroverted, right, or overt. But anyways, windy, moving. So with that in mind, right, I think it's very, really apparent in the inner part, right, because you have all those moving lines, right? Matthew, I think for you, you have much longer notes, right? Somehow in the expression of those notes, in the evolution of sound, can you show a sense of motion as well? So I feel like the biggest difference is you guys, you want to sort of have much more ebb and flow. And then for you, it feels like you want it to be more sort of grounded. Yeah? I'm wondering if we can sort of, you guys provide that sense of sound and motion and for you as well.
Hey, Keith, sorry, can I just add one thing I think will help this? Audrey, I've been noticing that at the end of most of your bow strokes, it looks like your bow slows down always, and I wonder if you might think about spinning the sound through the end of whatever bow you're on into the sound of the other bow, and so that we're building the phrase over the bow changes and not just bound to each bow up or down.
So the final thought before I guys play it again is you guys sort of started with the tempo or feeling, and then you immediately adjusted. 1, and then 2, 4, 2, right? Sort of those are grounding moments where we all come together. I think those moments are where we can have different quality of sound, perhaps. Yeah, maybe a little bit more expressive or something like that. Can we try one? Can you guys try one more time, just like 10% louder? Maybe just a little bit closer, actually. It's counterintuitive for that sort of veiled, misty sound, but maybe a little bit closer to the bridge. So you don't have to play louder, but it's just a little bit more present. Yeah.
Audrey, I think part of it is that in your phrasing, the sound is really beautiful. I think those 4/8 notes. Try avoiding a bit of a more circular kind of.
Good. Already late. Yeah. I think part of it, remember your cello, it feels very like. There's heaviness from the beginning, but when there's emotion.
Sorry, can I just? What we're talking with you about how to start over the bow. There are a lot of things about using our bow always we have to think about, of course. And so one of them is spinning over, but also we have to think about the entire feeling of the slur at the beginning or the entire feeling of whatever bow we're going to have at the beginning of the bow. And so oftentimes I wonder if you might think about all of you guys to help you with bow distribution and without having to use portato or getting stuck kind of where so that you can use already from the beginning, you're already thinking about what the feeling of the end of that stroke and over it. And how Dan is asking you maybe something you just practice on your own, but for you to take.
Try it a little bit higher in the bow, like closer to the upper half. I have a feeling that there's too much weight in your bow where you are.
Let's try right on. Remember, it's 1. Capture the tempo. Getting better. Maybe it's for you as well. It feels too. Like you're sort of sustaining too much. Maybe you can feel like a little bit lighter, like
Sorry, I was demonstrating too slowly, so I think I got you into a slow tempo.
Thank
know it's just a little bit too much, but yeah, that's it. Yeah. And then right at 2, what is the character there?
Still, all of a sudden, but it's still, all of a sudden, it's still driving towards.
Do you guys agree with that? It's sort of still. How would you describe the quality of sound that you want? How would you define this canvas?
I think I said more core. Just, yeah, just more like energy and
I like that. But what is the actual character that you're looking for? The color. If the previous section was windy and sort of swept up, what have we arrived at?
Gray.
Okay.
Gray,
Sure.
outside.
Yeah. Something still, something a little gray, but you know, with a little bit more substance in the sound. Yeah.
We're sort of in a holding pattern there, right? It's very repetitive. Maybe there's something about that repetition that builds tension. We're about to explode into this allegro. I wonder if there's something in the bow usage that you guys give a feeling of suspense.
Can we try that 3 of you guys without Audrey? Let's see how we use our bows. And 2. Okay, so for something that's still and not very active, I'm seeing a lot of action from you guys, yeah? Can we embody the character that we want? Try one more time. Good, getting closer. What I see, before I say it, what do you guys see? Or what do you hear in the sound?
Very consistent how we use the voice.
Once again, can I borrow your- Try to think about where in the bow is going to allow you to get the color that you want. I feel like you guys have a very good idea generally of what you're going for, but then you don't always use your toolkit to make that as vivid as possible. So in this sort of thing, you're down here. I wonder. Wait, does that give like a little bit more sense of goosebump? Because the sound is going to be naturally heavier, right, the lower you are. And if we're going for a pianissimo, then I think we have more room to sculpt the sound actually in the latter part of the book. You want to try that once?
Can we try that and let's everybody follow? Yeah.
Put the bow sit on the string. It can be very soft, but also sets the resistance of the string against the. Closer. Okay, now listen to the sound and make sure you have the right balance of movement in the sound and pressure and resistance in the bow.
Sorry, can you also think about how you guys are going between 2 chords, just the inner voice is 2 different chords, and then against the rising line of the bass line?
Good. And can you take this cloudy idea and make it even more ominous? Beautiful, beautiful.
So if we can sort of imagine the sense of the pulse sort of running throughout the keep it really pianissimo. I love the how there's a little bit more, like Audrey was asking for, a little bit more chordless sound. Maybe we can try to get both without being louder. Great. Can we try once with Matthew leading? I still feel, I'm asking each and everyone to lead, but I feel like you guys could also turn lead as well. It feels a little bit reactive rather than leading with it. Good. So you can use a little bit more bow than you guys did, right? I think the sound is definitely getting a little bit closer together. Do you mind trying from like 2 measures before? Is that a good place? I don't know, let's see. Yeah. Okay, can we try once more from 1 before 2? Imagine the sound that we want at the pianissimo coming from piano. Good, that's great. Make sure that last note isn't louder. No. And then this is the post one. And then it can grow really explosive. Good, great. That's great.
Just here, think about where you were with the bow. It's good. You can get a more motion and more movement, more dynamic energy in the sound. You stay away from and maybe you have quarter notes, but not each one needs to be heard. Yes, yeah. It's more about an increase, like a concentric energy that's building into it. Maybe just try this one more time, and then you can try the bowing. The more percent. Can you guys create more of a magnetic energy with the cello and a real eruption when you guys take over 60s? Yeah. More quicksilver. She's not gonna have confidence where to place her next group if she can't hear your yeah, so give her that so that it feels more. That was great. One more time. Create that magnetic energy, but don't overtake it. Don't swallow it.
How much time do we have?
We have 4 minutes with this group. Yeah.
No, focus on one last thing, the closing thing of the after 4. So, tell me about the sound one. How do you find this place?
So this one and the one that comes back different. This first one is like, I think it was not quite totally, it's intimate, but it's not like,
Sure. What do you think, Patrick?
Yeah, I think there's some resistance, just like a little more resistance, but not like forceful resistance.
Like in the sense of the pulse? Or?
Yeah, like a more like a gentle pull on. Yeah.
Sure. How would you describe the sound you want to create? Soft and warm. Just because we're out of time, if I can add, maybe there's a vulnerability to it, right? Where you want to be so expressive, that's so beautiful, right? This rising fit, right? Regardless of whether it's minor or major. Yeah, and the fact that you guys are playing together, it creates this really hollow kind of octave sound, right? And is it one octave or two octaves? Maybe it's two octaves, right? So a real sense of like, I don't know, hollowness, openness, a little bit of emptiness, a little bit of ache, maybe. I don't know, just saying whatever comes to my mind. But maybe we can tap into sort of the fragility of that moment, the vulnerability of that. And yes, it's expressive, so extremely beautiful, but spoken in such a, like you said, intimate, private way. Like you're just sort of singing to each other, right? And you're drawing people in rather than showing them, trying to direct yourself outward. Yeah.
Can we try that?
Yeah. Matthew, in dominant tonic relationship, which note is more tense? Dominant, right? Yeah. So how will we play our dominant right here? Yes, yeah, a little bit more. No, never accentuating it wrong. Yeah. That's beautiful. That sounds like piano to me. So now it's piano, right? So a little bit fuller, a little bit more grounded, a little bit more assured or reassurance or something. Yeah, yeah. Great, guys. I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much.
We have Debussy scores for that, right?
Yes.
You have the Debussy scores.
I got one. Yeah, we
Our next performers will be playing the first movement of the Debussy Quartet. I'm a brass player, so we think quintets all the time.
If only there was a.
Debussy Quartet, and he did sing for us anyway. And in keeping with our French Impressionistic theme there, and also in our Freivogo family coaching. So we will have the quartet. And they are Noel Struber-Eden, violin, Gail Kovac, violin, Penny Tang, viola, yeah, right? And Isabel Morales, cello.
the louder scale and things were a little bit fast, I feel like you had a really nice confidence to your approach. I sometimes missed a little bit of that level of focus in the sound when things were a little bit maybe a bit sparse, maybe a little bit quieter. I felt there was a little bit more sort of trepidation a little bit in your sound, and I'm wondering if anything, when things are quieter, you kind of actually have to bring more intensity of a certain, like a mental intensity, maybe not necessarily intensity in the sound, but a kind of a focus to the sound so that we can transmit just as much intention even within a sort of quiet passage. But overall, I thought that was a really wonderful performance of this movement. Right off the bat, I'm wondering if we could talk a little bit about sort of the rhythmic backbone of this movement. Considering sort of the opening statements that we have, the first, say, 12 or so bars, what's sort of this is a bit purposefully ambiguous questioning, so I apologize in advance. Is there a rhythmic sort of pattern that he utilizes throughout this whole opening? I'm fishing for an answer. I do apologize. Is there some sort of unique aspect, even from the very beginning of bar 1, we already encountered this, but also, I don't have many numbers, even a place like bar 10, you can see the same sort of pattern. What is that?
Maybe like the syncopation.
The syncopation, yeah. Short, long, right? It's sort of a permeating factor. Sometimes it's in the bass line purely as sort of a supportive role. It might be in the middle voices as sort of a textural role, but it can also act as a lyrical and melodic role, like in the beginning where it's sort of everyone's playing together. And I think sort of the approach of how we distinguish and interact with this syncopation, which in nature is sort of is it a stable or destabilizing? Destabilizing, right? It goes against what we would expect, right? But that being said, it's an interesting textural element, a rhythmic element, right? If everything felt 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 after 10 minutes, I think we'll get all quite bored and tired of the pulse, right? So there is something of a play with it, a sort of an enjoyment aspect of it. And so I was wondering if we could sort of discover that or rediscover it a little bit together at the very beginning here. I was wondering if, actually, can I hear the opening once more? I'll stop you. We're not going to use our instruments, we're just going to vocalize here, just sort of stating the actual counting out loud, but in a way where we actually reflect what we're trying to imagine the music to be. So for example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, right? Sort of how we might proceed from beat to beat. I'm wondering if we could try that once. So all together from the very beginning.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Good, yeah. We sort of lost a little focus there.
One thing I just wanted to mention, because Ken was talking about pulse, is that in the music it says it's in 4, right? What does a metronome marking say? It's in 2, right? I always thought that was interesting. And I wonder if you could still count in 4, but feel a little bit more in 2. So instead of 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Yeah, maybe there's a bit more flexibility in the second halves of the bars.
Even the first part, if we count in two, would be a syncopation of a sort, right? Obviously, if we're thinking squarely just in 4/4, then it doesn't quite have the same kind of capacity, but 1, 2, there's a little bit of that element, and I think the counting can reflect a sort of depth. Can you try that once more?
One, two, three, four, 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 one, two, three, four,
Almost, there's one more. That also illustrates sort of a conundrum that we run into, which is that it's kind of a long diminuendo, right? I feel like, obviously, you maybe were feeling a little uncomfortable, but even as you're playing, I'm wondering if you could think about the pacing of how we have to go all the way towards sort of the, where does the first sort of arrival in this music? Bar 5, yeah, bar 5, bar 6. And then we start this, he writes the diminuendo, but then he writes then flute diminuendo even more, and then the piano, and then a piano, and another piano, and another, right? There's a lot sort of on that page, and I feel like there wasn't quite enough of an art form to what you're doing that kind of brings all of it together. So I'm wondering if you could now go back to with our instruments. Approaching the second note, Paul, sort of really feeling the curvature of that note all the way through. I actually weren't here for the first of Justice Illustrations, but as you imagine the starting of that note, you already know that it's going to be a bit longer than the first note, right? 1, 2, 3, it has to provide enough momentum to last us through essentially 2 beats. I know there's an 8th note at the end of that, but it's flirted in and source of one trajectory. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2, and 3, 4, 1, right? Can we try that from the beginning with our instruments? I wonder if you can work on the first chord. What sort of adjectives are you thinking for this very first chord? Or first two measures or so?
broad,
Broad flag.
I think it's a little like fiery, but it has
Fiery. That's good, yeah. Could we try just the first 2 notes? I'm missing a little bit, when you said broad, I'm missing a little bit of oomph to that very first chord. Not with loudness, but it kind of hefts to it. Depth and also resonance. It feels a little bit actually on the short side, I think, because of the double down bow, which I would do, and it's deliberate. But if you could feel as much resonance, as much depth through that first chord as much as possible. Right now, sometimes I wonder if it sounds a little bit short and functional. Yeah.
Can I add one thing? I think it's great that you guys are aiming for the complexity of the second beat, right? But just because you're going to the second beat, I feel like the first beat shouldn't be sacrificed, right? The first beat should be yum, and then whatever that was, the second beat can be more than that, right? Yum T, as opposed to yum D, right? So we need to start from a grounded place. I'm wondering, is talking about character, if we can just tap into the marking that he gave us, très décidé. What does that mean?
very
Decided, yeah, sure. Determined, I don't know, decisive, right? There's a sort of a strength in the meaning of that word, right? So if we can sort of tap into, this motive comes up, is the motive for the entirety of the first movement, and then later, cyclically in the rest of the movement as well, the piece as well. So I feel like we need to go through different permutations of this yom D, right? And so beginning everybody together, same rhythm, not the same notes. Forte, right? There's something large, rounded, determined about that, right? Yeah.
Good, better, much better. Just want to talk a little bit on the flip side of the quicker version of this syncopation measure. Yeah, on the quarter note level. I know there's a dot over the eighth note, but I wonder if you're clipping it a little bit too much, or we miss some level of lyricism within it. If I can barter instruments. I don't play this line, so it's pockets. Actually, are you, sometimes we're looking at it, right? It sounds a little bit of a separation between the two notes, but still making sure that it's sung through before you lift off. That's not too quick. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if that dot is less about the length of it, so not so short, and more about maintaining a sense of lift at the end of that note.
In fact, dots in general, I think, especially in, yeah, you see, this is also sometimes often Schubert, Brahms as well. Separation rather than shortness. Sometimes we see a dot, especially actually later on as a group, sometimes these first beats, quarter notes have dots on them. Like later on, like 28, for example, and I find that all four of you are treating it quite short, rather than treating them as simply separated from the rest. But we'll get to that later. We tried from the beat once more, and I'm wondering if measure 3 and 4, there's a sense of one, to your part, the upper 3 strings, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the flourish is on the 4, but it's sort of almost like there's an asymmetry to that, right? 2, 3, 4, and 2, and if we can all find this sort of length to the pulse at different times, you're on the downbeat, you're on the second beats, right? Could you try that once more from the beginning?
Can I just, sorry to cut the flow, if you can maybe treat the dot as more of a vocal gesture, right? Rather than a instrumental one. Maybe that, something like, yuppa, yuppa. You would sing, yuppa, with the separation, but not, yip, yippa, right? Where the resonance is cut off, right? And I feel like we're sort of approaching it from a very instrumental way, as opposed to maybe something where you're actually singing it, perhaps, yeah. Or at least vocalizing it.
Yeah, exactly. And so then as we think about building through the quartet, we want the cellists to have as much of that vibration as possible. So that it's like the grandfather of the quartet that pulls all the sound of the quartet potentially. And then as we go up the quartet, we want to kind of feed on that and think about how our strings can vibrate in those. And so how do you guys think the contact point that you're saying, how do you think you can create how do you think you can activate that string to vibrate? Like, what would be some of the things you would try for your contact point?
Like keep it consistent.
Okay, well, if you think about maybe I think definitely you have to find a unification, but we also have to think about each of our instruments, each of our strings feels different, right? Like if we're trying to find resonance on the G string or the C string for you guys, it's going to feel really different than finding resonance on the A string if we're sensitive to our contact point, right? And so, sorry, what string? Yeah, E string, exactly. And so that we need to keep in mind. And so on each of the instruments, it might feel a little differently. But what are some of the things that we can do with actually like the pull of the bow on the contact point?
Maybe like slow, but like intense, like a lot of friction between the strings.
Yeah, we can think about how much friction we're going to have. One thing you guys can think about is that we're working with not two-dimensional things, not like that, but we're working with three-dimensional things. And so if we think about that we can pull from the back of the string, what's going to get more resonance? If you pull the rubber band just on the top, or if you pull it like from the bottom, right? So if we think about that we're activating the resonance of our string, can I see your string? Is it okay if I use it for a second? So we think about that we're going to like pull from the contact point, feel it from the back. Yeah. And so, but as a quartet, so that's individual, but as a quartet, we have to do it really thinking from the cello first. So I was wondering if we could just hear your first two chords. Good. Yeah, so think about pulling from the back, but then also think about the beginning of the sound as well. Good. Can you think about how if you're going to want the sound to be as it's like kind of like an iceberg. Like if you want the sound to be really resonant on the top, what do you have to do on the bottom? Just support the sound. You think about how you're supporting from the bottom.
those places I wonder if the flip side of the oboe, which has a lot of these intricate syncopations, both on the quarter note, half note level, as well as the eighth note, quarter note level. Here, what do we have? We mostly have quarter notes and half notes. Some some decorative eighth notes, but the pulse is a little bit more tall, right? It's a little bit bigger in many ways, and you have these triplets here. Sort of following what the observation Dan mentioned about the fact that the metronome marking is in half notes. I'm wondering if this is one of those places where the counting can become a little bit less insistent on the each beat, on each four, but rather 1, 2, 1, 2, and even that 1, 2, 3, 4, right? A hypermeter where we actually chain together multiple meters into one big meta, right? So could we try that once more? I think a little bit of a faster tempo. I don't think you were as slow as I think will help as well. Could we try that once more, same place? That's very much better. Can I hear just the two of you here? Not to put you on spots, but. Yeah, I'm hearing a little bit of 1, 2, 3. The second beat. Where is that part? Right there. Yeah, you have asymmetrical bowing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. But I'm wondering if there could be a little bit less distinction actually of that second beat. I'm also hearing. I feel like it's nice phrasing, but it sounds a little bit like a hairpin when we don't have the hairpin until bar 3 and 4 of this phrase, right? So I'm wondering. 1, 2, and 1 and 2. The first two bars and the next two bars can be a little bit more distinctively different. Can we try that once more, just the two of you? Way better, yeah. I was wondering if where you are in, it sounds quite focused of a sound. I'm wondering if there's something a little bit more mystical. I know it's just piano, it's not pianissimo, but maybe a little bit less focused, just ever so slightly, to create this sort of hazier sheen. Might be nice. Can I hear with everybody? Oh,
Do you guys mind trying? Do you mind? Wait,
Yeah.
take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Can you try just air bowing it? Yeah. So don't worry about left hand. Just think about. Just cue each other. Just the two of you. Cue each other in. Hear the music in your head, but just air bow. Yeah. Beautiful. Try one more time with full intention. I know it feels a little silly, but with full intention, think of it. Being as expressive and demonstrative in your body as you can be. Beautiful. Yeah. I really like how you seem to really kind of free up the gesture, yeah? And so I feel like, similar to what Ken was saying, it feels a little bit too, like, in a way, kind of Brahmsian, right? Can we think about how our bows are constantly in motion, right? We're using the momentum created at the end of one stroke to loop us back into the next stroke, right? So can we try once where your left hands are as expressive as they were, right? But then with your bow, back, playing your instruments, but with the sense, the same free sense of gesture that you had when you were airbow. Great. Yeah. I think already there's a little bit more sense of wonder in the sound. It's not so serious and grounded, but there's a little, more suggestive and evocative element to it. Yeah.
We tried this with everybody. I think still the two of you can provide sort of the gentle motor of this passage. Don't get too bogged down. There's still sort of an insistence. I feel like a little bit of a friction where you want to hear every beat a little bit. I'm wondering if there's still that overall shape could sort of be the instigator for the group pulse, and then the melody just sort of rides on top of that, rather than the opposite way. I feel like, and if the two of you can sort of not have too much resistance, I guess, but sometimes I feel like it feels a little bit heavy on the right hand for the two of you. But we try it once more, and as a group, I'm wondering if when we get this beautiful hairpin up, you think of those two bars together, this beautiful arc. If it can move a little bit together, it doesn't have to be so methodically. There doesn't need to be much beat boundaries. Right now, I feel like a lot of specifics in the middle right now. Yeah, we try that once more.
Here's a place where it sounds too much to me and for it will help also lighten the weight of the music to allow you to build momentum. Yeah.
I feel like we actually already got to that piano on 51, as if you were you've reached somewhere. I'm wondering if it's still a start. Not a new journey, because it's sort of an extension of what was come before. Where are we going? The sense of wonder you create from that place.
Hey, sorry. I was thinking about with the Ravel also, like the end of the Ravel, that sometimes when in like both Ravel and Debussy, they write these octave moments for the viola and first violin, and I feel like they're both really, especially Debussy is really inspired by chant. And if you think about the kind of sound that you might, have you guys ever just like tried singing in a cave or like a really resonant spot? You know what I mean? How there's this like beautiful sense of like natural depth that happens, and then the resonance is kind of like this wondrous sound on top. And I wonder if that's, of course there's expression on top of that, but I wonder if that might be some way of you guys thinking about the roles of your part, how you have this like foundation kind of depth of the sound, and then how your sound is like this beautiful like wondrous sound on top, so that, because right now I'm missing a little bit of like the connection of you guys in those octave moments. Yeah.
Should we try one more time, say this? Oh, a little bit. Actually, let's go from second time.
Sorry. So even right here, even though this is not an octave moment, it's a parallel moment. So yeah, even here, think about that sound.
It doesn't quite sound intoxicated enough, intoxicated with longing, or just, that sense of haze that comes where we're not in our present moment, but we're sort of lost in this place that doesn't quite exist within reach. It's too earthbound.
Sorry, can we try that one more time? I think we might have to just do a little bit more depth with us on the sound, and then when here, the swell goes like so don't start are you thinking so
Do we have to?
We have 2 minutes.
One small last thing I wanted to touch was the very ending. This is sort of a famous sticker moment for a lot of quartet people. There's the forte portrait anime, and then a strange marking, but it's a pseudo piano at 1:6, right? Yeah, that one. Then a pianissimo. It's a strange marking, but I was wondering if you could try it once as written, quite literally, which is that you start the trade anime and you maintain the forte all the way through for 3 bars and then get down to the piano, and then even more so. There's another sort of step to it. We try that right on, I know, sorry to put you on the spot, but right on that trade anime. 2 before spring. That's it, yeah. Make sure that even the drop itself was nice, but then I missed actually the further dropping continuing down to the pianissimo. There's something quite dramatic about that. Can we try that one last time? And then I know maybe the focus wasn't quite there, but feeling the heft togetherness of the last 2 chords. If you can all breathe together, there's a sense of communal quality to that. I felt a little bit sort of disjointed.
Think about the resonance work that we did and how you're building it through the quartet.
Almost. There's a, yeah. Could try maybe the last. Some of you were speaking a little bit earlier to them before, really feeling the fullness of the breathing together. We go from the fortissimo.
Maybe we can feel the strength in the rest. Yeah, yeah, da, da, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yeah.
We go 6 from the end. Fortissimo. Try one last time. instigator for all that, provide the bass, the support, and everything. One more time. Nice. Thank you so much.
I'd like to thank the members of the Parker Quartet. Thank you for being here in Philadelphia, and also for being here with us today. Thank you to the Chamber Music Society, and thank you to our performers. We would love to get a photo with everybody all together, if that's okay. Great.
Stop this thing.